So what you see here is not just any type of bath. This is a so-called floating shell filled with healing salt water. And now I want to hear from the expert. Why is this so healthy?
Yes, salt is very healthy for the skin as it ensures that waste materials are removed and also the skin is cleansed and the pH value is neutralized. And especially in this 25% concentrated salt solution is ideal for deep relaxation.
Now this here is salt water, but we're so far from the sea.
There is, however, a sea. It lies here under us. It is 200 million years old, petrified salt. Water has flowed there, and the salt water, which is formed there, the salt solution is still being used today.
Salt and potash salt can be found everywhere around the world, but they are especially concentrated in seawater. Washed away from stones by rain, collected in rivers and carried to the coast, they finally land in the giant pools, our oceans. The water evaporates, but the salt remains. In this way, the concentration in the oceans gradually rose to the level we see today. Early in history, humans had already learned to make use of the effect of evaporation. Because of this, they built and are still building salt marshes, in which salt is extracted from seawater. For this, one needs a lot of sun and plenty of patience. As soon as seawater has evaporated, the crystallized salt can be harvested. Even in Germany, salt can be harvested, but this salt originates from an ancient sea. Over 200 million years ago, there was a very large inland sea in this region, the Zechstein Sea. It evaporated completely, and not only once, but many times. Calcium carbonate, gypsum, clay, and dissolved salts remained. Minerals and stone formed multiple layers on top of each other. Today we can collect this rock salt and potash salt, even though it is partly buried under gigantic mountains. One method for this is as ingenious as it is simple. One only needs to reintroduce water to the salt. The crystallized salt dissolves and a salt solution is formed. When this salt solution evaporates on the surface, the highly pure salt stays behind. This method was already used in the Middle Ages. Today, modern technology enables us to extract even deep-set salt layers with the help of so-called borehole brining. A seemingly endless canal is drilled until it reaches the salt deposit, and fresh water is pumped into it. A water cycle results, which forms a cavern, like a large cave. The salt water then rises as a concentrated solution to the surface. From these caverns in the thick layers of earth, deep underground, on the surface, we only see this small hole.
The German salt and potash producers extract the salt even underground. There are mines and salt works situated all across Germany. Valuable potash can be found in many of them. Local salt production is the biggest in Europe, and potash production is the third biggest worldwide. Underground mining. This, of course, doesn't mean that you simply go down underground, chip off some salt rocks from the mine wall, and hey presto, that's it. Nowadays, mining potash and salt is a high-tech process. It's incredibly fast too. So we are now here 800 meters below ground, and around me it's all salt. Now listen up. It's so large. To mine such big amounts of salt, you need something a little different to this pickaxe. Something like this here. This machine is as strong as a Formula One car and extracts around 200 times as much salt as a miner could bring to the surface 50 years ago. Apart from mining, there is another way to extract salt, and for this, holes are drilled 7 meters deep into the salt. They insert a material, a special granulated explosive. It only works with computer-controlled detonators. Couldn't be much safer. And it's safer to go now. Now the salt must be brought to the surface, up to 150,000 tons per day. That can't really be done with an escalator. If necessary, the salt is then refined, dissolved in water, sieved or ground. The cooking salt that comes from here is up to 99.9% pure, just like in my salt cellar. And now these enormous amounts are transported to all those who cherish salt and potash salt. Salt can end up on your egg at breakfast or on our streets. The valuable potash salts are even shipped all around the world in the form of fertilizers. Thanks a lot, it was very interesting.
It was my pleasure.
Good. Oh, thank you. I got some salt. Now, whoever now wants to collect salt themselves will go ahead, because it's possible to learn this job. In Germany, over 10,000 people work in this industry.
The worldwide revenue of German companies in the potash and salt industries lies at around 5 billion euros per year. They employ around 15,000 people directly around the whole world. But also a whole chain of other industries are dependent on them. The salt and potash salts are a basic prerequisite for many products in industry. Precisely because they are so irreplaceable, they have become something that is taken for granted. Their significance only becomes clear when they become scarce. On German streets in winter, salt is something that saves lives. Without de-icing salt, the traffic system would collapse in the winter months, and injuries and damage to cars could not be prevented. Ecologically and economically, de-icing salt is ideal. Also in households, salt is often an invisible but irreplaceable assistant. Every dishwasher contains a salt tank that softens the water. The formation of limescale is prevented, and electricity and resources are saved. The impact of this small tank is only noticed when it is empty. Countless products that we use daily have salt and potash salt as their prime ingredient. Glass, plastics, colors, even the leather products in our wardrobes or shoe racks are made long-lasting in the factories with salt. Then, of course, there is the salt shaker on our dinner table. We only, however, eat small amounts of the total of extracted salt. A few more percent are accounted for by the salt in animal feed. Salt is also vital for animals. Much greater amounts are, however, used in agriculture.
But Mr. Manti, just a question. You haven't fertilised the fields around here with salt, have you?
Yes, we have fertilized the field with salt. Of course, not the so-called cooking salt like the consumer knows it, but potassium chloride, so no sodium chloride. And this potassium is required by the plant for its water regulation. This means the take-up of water, the whole cycle is improved. We see advantages in the plant's resistance to cold, and further on, photosynthesis is activated.
The extraction of potash salts is known to many people through the big visible heaps you see. These consist mainly of salts that cannot be exploited, mostly sodium chloride, which remain as byproducts from potash extraction. Especially in flat land, they have become a tourist attraction. To protect the environment from the concentration of salt, various measures are taken. The heaps are sealed off from the ground and rainwater is diverted through drainage systems. A special measure for the protection of the environment can be observed here.
To replace these areas, similar areas elsewhere are being turned green. Dr. Gerling, what did the salt mine owners in the Hessian Werra do exactly?
There are various possibilities. We have, for example, already planted fruit orchards or renaturalized other areas. In this case, we asked for advice from specific experts from around here in the region. We also actively collaborated with environmental protection agencies in order to buy this area, this Raya forest. We had it ecologically evaluated, took grubbing measures and dug additional trenches, and now, in the end, a very great project has come from it, which we are able to incorporate into the Nature Park Reden.
So, we now know where our salt comes from and also where it's being used. Basically wherever living things are found. Hey, this is mine! Well...